Welcome back to Project Brupeg, the story of a sunken fishing trawler converting into a global expedition and research boat. Today we're back on the wings. We're getting the hardware for the deck created so that we can bolt this arm down to the deck so that the wings will be in the fully deployed position, and then we can start working on the side of the bulwarks and then also the sliders after that. On the side of the boat here, you can sort of see where we've cut out the sponson there, that half round that's been chopped out. What the plan is this morning is to clean up and tack in the doubler that hangs over the side of the vessel. So on the hull, it'll be on the outside of the hull. We'll get that tacked in, and then the next step is to take these stainless pads with the M30 high tensile threaded rod, and we're going to mount those basically right next to that weld there. So they'll be mounted on the edge, and then if I spin around, this is our arm. So right at the top there, you can see all that mounting mechanism. So that's all got to go, but the width of that arm is really critical. So if I come back to here, these stainless high tensile pads have to be welded essentially in the middle of this doubler that we put on, but they have to be welded about 160 millimeters apart to give the arm a little bit of clearance, but we want them as tight as we can get into that into those arms. So that'll make sense in a second, but first step, let's get this outside cleaned up. Got to clean up all of the rust that's in this area here. It's not deep, it's just a little bit of surface discoloration. In fact, I don't even think there's rust. I think there's probably even primer on that. We're going to get that cleaned up, and then we'll weld the second doubler into this area.
I should have locked the gate. I should have thrown away the key. Then I'll be fine with it to be the end for you and me. Now you pour out of me, 'cause I've been under your spell. I flush it out to sea, and hope someday I can repel.
So it's pretty clean. I'm happy to weld that now. So what I've done is if I just move these cords, you can see there was a bit of a lip overhanging that we needed to deal with. And I thought I might have been able to incorporate some of that into the weld, but I decided not to. So we've pretty much ground it off completely flush and cleaned the steel right up. So yeah, that's going to be a nice easy join now. The new steel is going to sit nice and flat against the hull. It's only 150 mil deep, so it's a pretty easy piece of steel to manipulate. I think I've got the gas. No, just awful porosity. So we don't quite know what's going on yet. We're having a bit of trouble with the welder. So we're trying to run solid core wire. There's no wind, so we're just going to weld with solid core wire. However, when we pull the trigger, we can't actually get the gas to flow properly. It's showing decent pressure at the bottle. It's showing 25 litres a minute. We cranked it right up to try and get as much gas as we could to flow out. But when we pull the trigger, you get an initial burst of gas, and then it just tails off to nothing. So we're thinking there must be like a blockage somewhere so that it's able to seep past enough so you get that initial burst, but then we can't get the gas to flow properly after that. So yeah, we've got to obviously figure out what's going on with the gas side of things on this welder. Maybe blow the lines out, something like that. I don't know, we'll figure it out. But for now, we're going to swap over to flux core wire so that we can weld regardless of gas, and if we have gas, it's nice to have. Weld a loop on there and just put a bar down and just lever it out. Right, ready there? Yeah.
Gonna use the long one on that one. Right there?
Me, myself, and what is burning in my chest? What was I supposed to do? Was barely standing when you fell into my arms. You fell into my arms again.
Doubler on. So it was flux core wire that saved the day in the end. So I've still got to do buzz around the sides and the bottom, but I've sort of capped the top off, and that allows us to get going with this mounting gear and all that sort of stuff, so we can figure that out. Trev can start cutting that out, and then I can finish off the welding on this doubler. But she's fully perimeter welded, and yeah, we're in a position to be able to move on to the next job. Now that we've got the arm and the doubler where it needs to sit, we need to basically position these guys either side, some variation of that theme there, and then start making the plate and also cutting the arm to suit so that we can bolt it in that orientation. Some of the challenges that we're coming up against is how do we do the aligning pin on this side. So we have to basically have a pin that comes out, it's a 32, roughly the same size as that, 32mm pin. It has to be in the centre line of these blue beams. So it can be anywhere in that orientation there. However, we also have to have these bolted up like so. So we just got to figure out, do we have a pin that's at the front there? And the downside of that is it means the sliders are then outside the boat. We want to bring them back inside the boat. By doing that, it means the whole assembly moves back into the deck where Jess didn't want it. So we're just trying to ponder a few ideas. We're not sure which one's going to work yet, and it's probably going to be a case that we have to kind of build something, test it, and then see what doesn't line up and what doesn't work. So to make life a bit easier, rather than trying to winch this wing down, we have a rope that goes through a shackle that goes through a whole bunch of coils around the handrail, and we're going to basically ease it down just like you'd do if you were trimming a spinnaker. You'd ease it out on a winch using resistance. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to ease the wing down using resistance on the handrail, because our winch at the moment is a pain in the ass to use on the lowering position on this side. So that's the plan.
Another 6 inches. About there.
Yep. All right. Weight off. The plan is to basically chop out the square that you can see there. We've got it about 98% cut. We're just working on the last little bit through here. You can just sort of see Trev's getting the blade right into that corner to cut around there. Once that's cut, the side's out, and it gives us a bit of clearance to be able to figure out where we're putting these doublers. So you can see we've gone through and basically cleaned this right up along that top edge, around the top there for the deck, and then down along the front so that we're ready to weld. We've still got quite a bit of grinding to do. Like you can sort of see this area right the way along here has to be cleaned right back so it's not showing any ridges or anything like that. That's part of the old sponson that we cut off when we were using the plasma. It was a bit of a mission to cut, so there's probably 5mm or so randomly sticking out. That's pretty manky, it needs to come off, but we'll do that another day. For now we're just going to get these doublers in, and then that's us finished for the deck reinforcing. Is that right, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got our doubler, and there's a bit of a rocking going on. So what we need to do, this end here, you can see down there, is sticking up a wee bit from the deck, and this end over this side is sort of similar, but yeah, pretty close. What we're going to do, this end here, there's a rib almost directly at the end of that doubler, so we're going to tip it over ever so slightly like that and weld that end down, and then we're going to bend this end to meet the deck, or in fact it'll be the deck that probably moves up to meet the doubler. But we're basically going to do what Bruce did for the doublers down on the hull. We're going to do exactly the same sort of thing up here, but instead of using wedges, we don't have wedges, we're going to be using a long lever and a piece of steel welded on as a hook. Pretty simple technique, something that me and Richard perfected when we were doing the fuel tanks on the front of the boat probably 18 months ago. You can see we're a wee bit off the deck by probably a good ½ an inch in some places. And by cranking down, do you want to just do that again, Trev? Do you want to go up and down? There you go. You can see how much we can bend ½ inch thick steel, just a little bit of a lever action. So we've got just a piece of random old steel that's got a slot cut in it, a lever, a block, that's all it takes. Simple as, and then we can make quite a difference.
And a ball of muscle on the other end.
And a ball of muscle on the other end.
Yeah. Right, now we're going.
Yep.
Yep. Now. Hang on. Another bit of sweat and tears.
All right.
Ready, go.
How's that?
So far so good.
I can see that stretching.
Yeah.
After extolling the virtues of our lever system, we couldn't get enough horsepower, so we had to go back to Bruce's idea with wedges.
Thanks, Bruce, for the idea.
I think we're going to get rid of that guy there.
So we stopped work on the doublers, and Trev's doing a bit of grinding on the end of the wing so that we can clearance the arm on the end fin. We knew we'd have to do this, we just left it long just so that we could take the least amount off. But basically it's at a stage now where we can start to clearance that arm on. Sorry for the grinding noise. Down here as well, we've stopped working on the threaded bolt attachment, mainly because there's too many variables. We need to wait until we've got our sliders and a few other things. So where do we get to? We managed to get the doublers welded on both sides on the deck and both sides on the outside of the hull. So that's the strengthening that we're going to be putting in for the arms. What we need to do now is figure out where those arms go, what the top of the arm is going to look like, because we have to redesign that a little bit more. Our original second design wasn't good enough, so we're going to be doing a third design. And we need the sliders, so we'll go and pick the steel up for the sliders probably tomorrow. That'll be Monday or maybe Tuesday, and then we'll start putting those together, hopefully do that during the week. And then come the weekend we'll have the sliders ready to go. We can start aligning everything and start figuring out where does stuff actually sit, now that we're able to remove some of those variables having built the sliders and so on. So next job is likely to be sliders.
You got eyes like summer sky. If you're smart, could kill or die. And now it starts to rain, so let's enjoy it.